Hey everyone, so this will be my review of the Aqua 1 Beta Trio. So this is a three-way divided beta tank, and then it also has a back compartment for the filter, which is actually also divided into four compartments. So you got three up front for your betas, and then four compartments in the back for the filter. It's kind of odd when you just hear it. I'll show that off in a moment here. So first I'm going to go over a few specs. So when I bought this tank about a month or two ago, it was not available online anywhere that I could find. It looks like it is now available online again. So bigals.com, that's bigals.com, has it on sale right now for $130, or is selling it for $130. So if you do want to buy this tank. So a few specs here real fast. It is 8.4 gallons altogether. That comes out to somewhere around 2.5 gallons per beta compartment. The dimensions are 21.7 by 9.8 by 9.8. That is all in inches. Length by width by height. So it's a decent sized tank for three betas. It's about the minimum, is what most people would say for one beta. 2.5 gallons per beta, per compartment for beta. And then this is an all glass tank. It is glass. If you watched my last video, and as you can sort of see here, I actually did crack this tank. It is very much glass, not plastic, so those crack a bit easier than plastic, but it's not scratch as easy. Even the top is also glass. So we're going to go from the top to the bottom, and I'll show off everything that I can think of to show off. Starting with the light, there seems to be two different varieties of light. The one that was on the box from the tank I bought actually had two hands, had one over here, or arms, and one over here for the light fixture. This one only has one, but it is bendable, and the light itself can also be moved around, which is very, very cool. It is, of course, LED, and it is very bright. It seems to be growing my live plants very well. And you can see I have live plants in both of the two compartments where my green hawk betas are, and in my last compartment I have one live plant and then fake, but there's no animals, no fish in there whatsoever. So LED is very nice. It does only have on or off. There is no nighttime. It's just on or off. That's what you give this tank for the light. And the light does get hot over time, and it's not going to burn you out or anything, but it does get warm. So just keep that in mind, I guess. If you accidentally touch it and you go, whoa, it's hot. It's just how it is. So again, the top here is glass. It's glass Versatop, and I actually put it on backwards in my haste before making this video. Alright, so with my stupidity corrected, fixed, so the front is, of course, where the three feeder holes are. Nice little, we'll call it half moon cutouts, and then it has a nice little plastic bit on top of it, or around the edges so you don't cut yourself on the glass. Very, very cool. It has the plastic bits on here. These usually would go on the back of a Versatop, but you have two of them on either side, and this is how it goes. Thank you for those who have corrected me on this. I had these in the back before, and it was just all messed up, and my light was different as well. So thank you to those who have corrected me on that. Then it leaves you with the back having a slit here, which is for the cords. So I have my heater in this compartment, and of course the pump is in the compartment on the end here, so that's where it has to be. Then you have the base of the LED light. Well, I put it on this side. You could also put it on the other side if you wanted to. Sorry about that, destroying my glasses. Yeah, so that's how that goes. And let's talk about the filter here. So this entire back is somewhat of a filter compartment, divided into four. So you got your cartridges here, you got a big sponge here, another sponge here. I also put my heater here, and then you have the compartment for the pump. Starting on this side, so you have your standard filter cartridges. You have the charcoal, the carbon inside of the fibers. And then you also have this one, which is cool, which is all biological filtration. I really like this. It's very nice. Again, you got a sponge here, you got a sponge here, so that will help with the filtering, of course. Then here you got your pump. So this is a bit different from what I'm used to. Most tanks, or every tank I've had that had a setup something like this, similar to this, the pump would actually be stuck to the very bottom of the tank. This one, you stick it to the side of the tank, to the back of the tank. And what this actually seems to do is it gets rid of that vibration noise you get when you stick it to the bottom of the tank. Because if it's stuck to the bottom of the tank and it touches the sides of the glass or the tank whatsoever, it seems to make a horrible vibration noise. My top fin up here does it very much, quite often. This again seems to eliminate that, and it has been super quiet ever since I got this tank and set it up. Now it does have an adjustable pump, as you can see down there. I have it turned up all the way, or at least almost all the way. Usually I would not do that on a Betta tank, but I'll get to the reason why in just a second here. But yeah, so that is the last compartment here. Alright, then you have your output is here. Then on the very opposite side of the tank, you have your intake. So the reason why I have my pump turned up all the way is because it has to output it here, or push out the water here. It has to go through the divider into the next tank, or tank compartment, through the second divider, and back into here. And as you guys can see here, this one is very strong. You see it's going like crazy. Hits this compartment, and you can see here about halfway through, it starts to get that oil on top. The reason is the water just isn't pushing through all the way, or as strong as it is over here by any means. Hits this last compartment, and you can see it's barely moving, if it's moving at all. It is moving a little bit because this does get dirty. It's just very minor, very small movement. This would be what I would call a very. This is the issue for me. Again, because the reason is you're super doing this compartment, but these two compartments are not getting cleaned like they should be. They're not getting filtered like they should be, just because for some reason, it's because of how they made this tank. It just doesn't push the water through enough. So this is a major flaw, if you ask me. They should have came up with a way to actually filter all three compartments pretty evenly, instead of having one being super filtered and the other two almost non-existent being filtered. So that is a major flaw to me. Thankfully, Bettas are very hardy, and they can also breathe from the air, actual air. You know, they don't need to just breathe in the water. So it doesn't matter as much as if you had a not hardy fish in here. But to me, this is just a major flaw. So next we'll talk about these compartments. These dividers. So of course there are two dividers, and you have slits up top here. And hopefully you guys can see this. There are also slits on the bottom, and then there's none in between. That's part of the reason why the water just doesn't go through all the way. Doesn't seem to filter all the compartments, is because of that. But of course, because there are no slits, it means, or except for on top and bottom, it means that your Bettas cannot see each other, which is excellent. Most divided tanks have too many slits to where Bettas can see each other, and they will flare at each other and stress themselves out. That is not an issue with this tank. The issue is just it does not get filtered as nicely as well as it should. Another issue with these slits, as you can see here, about half of each slit is covered up by my gravel here, and over here is the same with the sand. And then the sand also, whenever I do a water change or add water, whatever, it pushes into this tank. This tank had no sand in it to begin with, but over time it just goes over, which is kind of an issue if you're using sand like I am. Thankfully, I have a bunch of sand in here. So the dividers are both a positive and a negative in this tank. Positive being they cannot see each other, and of course you can have more than one Betta in the tank. The negative is just that it doesn't really allow for the filtering to happen as well as it should. Then, like I mentioned before, here is the intake for the filter. And going again with the filtering strength, you see in these compartments, it's barely moving. It's like pretty much not moving whatsoever. That again has to do with that flaw of the filter system. Over here it does move. as you can see, it does move a bit more than, it actually moves a bit more than what's over here, which is interesting. So one alleviation to this filtering issue is just to keep your water level up more. If it's low, it really doesn't push whatsoever. But I also cracked mine, as if you watch one of my earlier videos, you'll see how I did that. So I can't actually have it up all the way. But even if it is up even a little bit more, it still doesn't help much more than what it is right now. One other issue I have with this tank is the nozzle here. It's barely attached. Pretty much just touching the thing comes flying off. Add water to the tank, it comes off. It just comes off super easy. That's not a big issue whatsoever. You just gotta put it back on, and then it's fine. It's just if you do touch it, or if a fish touches it or something, it might come flying off on you. That also might just be mine. I don't know. Overall, I do really like this tank. I think it's a pretty dang good looking tank. I love how it is divided, and it is divided to where you can have 3 betas in here without them seeing each other. I just wish the filter was a bit better. On the Aqua 1 Beta Dual, it might be better. That is a just a normal tank with a, well, not normal tank. It is a divided tank, but for 2 betas. I'm thinking that will work better because you only have 2 compartments instead of 3. But I do not know. I do not have that tank. I have not actually seen that tank in action. Overall, I'd probably give this like a probably somewhere around a 7 out of 10. Yeah, probably about 7 out of 10. Everything besides this filter. Again, for a beta, it's okay. Or for betas, it's okay. It's just kind of annoying. And one more thing you would have to, should mention here is, because this one has to be, the pump has to be up all the way, if you put a beta in this compartment, they will most likely become very stressed because of how strong that filter is. So I would recommend putting maybe shrimp in here, or some snails, or something else that can actually withstand the high filter rate. Maybe some of the Mexican dwarf crayfish would be cool in there. Just note if you do put a bait in here, they might get pushed around, or you will have to turn down the pump some, and then it really will not be filtering the other 2 compartments very well. I know this sounds more of a negative compared to most of my other videos. Just that filter is rather annoying to me. I just wish they would have thought of a better way to do this tank. Again, overall, I do like this tank. I would recommend it. I personally really would recommend it. Maybe mine just has some weird issue with it. Maybe other ones work better than mine. I don't know. I have not seen one of these in action. I've only seen them in boxes in stores. I've never seen one actually set up anywhere else besides my own, of course. So maybe mine just has some weird issue with it. So again, overall, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I would recommend it. $130, and you have a 3-way divided beta tank. That's very cool. Of course, there are other divided beta tanks you can buy. For instance, this is a newer, I believe it's newer. Top Fin from PetSmart has this Imagine, which is 5 gallons divided in half. So you have 2.5 gallons for beta. It has a pump up here and whatnot, filter up here. The biggest one that most people would probably know is the Aqua, the beta divided Aqua tank. That looks pretty much identical to this Top Fin. Top Fin, I love Top Fin, but they kind of copied the idea, I would say, from Aqua. Who knows, maybe the same tank maker makes both these tanks for Aqua and Top Fin, I don't know. But there are other options besides from the Aqua 1, and the Aqua 1 is actually, I believe, is actually a harder tank to find in the US at least, as I believe it does come from overseas, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it comes from overseas. So probably the biggest divided tank you'll find is, besides from making one yourself, is the Aqua or this Top Fin from PetSmart. So that was a bit off topic, but there are other options. Alright guys, thank you all very much for watching, especially if you made this far. This is a longer video for myself. Again, I would recommend this. Just note of the issue with the filter. Yeah, so just be cautious about this tank. And do note that it does crack easy if you do whack it with the top, like I did. Alright guys, thank you all very much. See you all next time. Have a good one. Goodbye.